And we're now getting some breaking news. This is a Mega India Today World exclusive as India launched Operation Sindoor on May 7 last year. New Delhi quietly ran a parallel diplomatic blitz in Trump's Washington. From senior Trump administration officials, White House to the Pentagon, Fox News to Capitol Hill, India worked two tracks at once: counter-terror operations and trade talks. To save the trade negotiations, India engaged every possible layer of Trump government while firing missiles at Pakistan. A filing with Foreign Agents Registration Act or FARA, which ensures transparency about foreign influence in the US, shows intense outreach to Donald Trump's inner circle to shape narratives, calm nerves, and firewall trade. Media management, security briefings, tariff talks all moved in sync as India pulled out all stops to keep its national interest paramount in the US soil. Despite tariff shocks and public rebukes, India ensured Sindoor faded without US backlash. For India, India's war rooms and negotiation rooms were both in play. And my colleague Rohit Sharma is now joining us with more details from Washington. Rohit, what was the whole idea behind India keeping US in loop during Operation Sindoor?
I think, we all knew once Operation Sindoor was announced and concluded that the Pakistanis in this case would be running, and going on an offensive to peddle lies in the Western media, in the Western world, and they've always done that. So I think, New Delhi decided and was obviously had been very cognizant of the fact that there could be, misinformation spread through Western media, through reaching out to powerful people in Washington D.C. So what India decided to do was to engage the really everybody from Secretary of State to Secretary of War to Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, making sure that everybody understood that India had taken a measure to deter Pakistan, to avenge the Pahalgam terror attack, and to understand why India did what it did. It was a limited precision strike targeting the terror bases in Pakistan. And it was required, and India did that. Also, if you remember, Anjali, that was the same time, I think April 4th is when President Trump launched Liberation Day, where he was talking about tariffs. So India was also able to successfully separate both the conversations. One focused on what India did and how India handled Operation Sindoor, and B, the trade track, making sure that both these conversations do not spill over into each other. And also, a very important thing, making sure that the Western media, especially Fox and CNN, everybody understood India's position and what India did. And I think at the end, it all mattered because eventually, when you had meetings with Secretary Lutnick and you had meetings with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, with Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, India was able to tell the India story without getting that narrative hijacked by Pakistan. I think it was a very big win for India. And since then, even if we haven't seen a lot going on in terms of trade deal, we haven't seen that elusive trade deal announced. But if you look at these filings and if you look at the meetings India has been able to get, India has engaged the Trump administration like never before. And it's a big story because the narrative in public is that maybe things are not going well. But New Delhi, and especially the embassy in Washington, D.C., has been engaging at different levels with the Trump administration to make sure that India and India's points are put across, and Trump administration engaged at every level.
So do you think India was able to convince the US through this diplomatic outreach during Operation Sindoor?
Absolutely. I mean, if you go back and look, I think the first comment President Trump made after Pahalgam and after Operation Sindoor was he did not say anything wrong about it. He said, yeah, I know what happened. I was aware of what had happened. India did strike those areas in Pakistan. And, obviously for obvious reasons, because India was keeping everybody aware of what it was doing, especially the US, especially the people that are very close to President Trump. So yes, it absolutely worked.
Right, Rohit. And do you think this is also one of the reasons why we have seen Donald Trump time and again claiming that it was the US that mediated between India and Pakistan? Can this be one of the reasons behind that?
You know what? It would be tough for anybody to make that guess. But what we do know is, and this is on the record also, that Secretary Rubio was calling, in New Delhi. He had conversation with foreign minister. He had conversation with even Prime Minister Modi. So I would not know, why President Trump would want to take credit for something. But what we do know for a fact is Secretary Rubio was engaged with the Indian side, as also the Pakistani side. So again, I'm not, I would not know why President Trump would want to take credit. But what I can say is that we had made sure that everybody in the United States understood our position and that there was no misinformation that could get in front of the Trump administration from the Pakistani side.
All right, Rohit, thank you so much for all those details and for that context. So that's a Mega India Today exclusive news break that India kept United States in loop during Operation Sindoor. That's a big diplomatic outreach from the Indian side to the United States during Operation Sindoor in May last year.